I won't be buying the Nintendo Switch. First of all, because I'm broke. I couldn't buy a $500 console even if I wanted to right now, but that's not solely the reason I won't be buying a Nintendo Switch 2. It seems like ever since Iwata passed and Reggie left the company, a lot of the charm from Nintendo left with them. I purchased the first Nintendo Switch around 2019, just to play Ultimate to be honest. Ever since then, I purchased a few Switch games here and there, but nothing really compelled me to pick it up, so it sat in dust for years. I would often charge it every few months and then put up with the laggiest eShop I have ever witnessed. It's not even laggy, it's just borderline does not work. I'm glad to see they sort of fixed the eShop with the Nintendo Switch 2. It at least doesn't look god awful like the previous version. I'm not sure if this is due to the Switch 1 processing power, but I always felt like it was just the eShop itself being coded by monkeys or something. Maybe they paid a kid to do it for like $20, I don't know. It never made sense to me why they wouldn't want the eShop to be blazing fast so we can empty our pockets and buy digitally. For the NS2, they have made some decent upgrades, but still feels lackluster compared to what we could have gotten. Nintendo has never been a company that specs out their consoles, we know this. Most of their consoles were underpowered or even last gen specs. For example, the NS1 uses the Nvidia Tegra X1 chip, which was originally released in 2015 for mobile devices. The fact that the NS2 is still an LCD still rubs me the wrong way. They claim it can do up to 120Hz, but I am skeptical on which games can utilize that frame rate. For reference, I just purchased an Anbernic RG556 which has an OLED screen and is under $200. The Switch is like $500. There's no reason they should omit this, especially at this price point. I've seen people online say that they're releasing the LCD so they can milk the OLED version, but my question is, how much is that damn Switch OLED gonna be? I mean, really, the OLED launched at like $50 above the NS1 asking price. It boggles my mind why they wouldn't just add this cost to the Switch and make it OLED anyway. If they're going to raise the cost of the Switch 2 for an OLED release, I predict it'll be $100 or $200 more than the Nintendo Switch 2 asking price. Imagine paying close to $1,000 for the NS2, that's crazy. I guess that's the norm with tech these days. Anything screen-based is going to be at least $1,000 right out of the gate. For the specs, I will go over a few parts but not get too technical as I don't understand a lot of the technical stuff myself. So when docked, the NS2 will get similar performance to a PS4 Pro, going from 4 to 12GB of RAM. I would have liked to see at least 16. 256GB upgrade from 32 on the NS1 is good, but the PS5 ships with a 825GB SSD for about the same price tag, so that's bogus. Probably still a technique to sell you overpriced SD cards. Upgrades to microSD Express, which apparently is faster, I've never heard of them though, that's nice to have. 700 to 1080p with a bigger screen, which I've seen in person and is actually nice looking. Still should have been OLED. 1080p docked on the NS1 gets an upgrade to 4K, which is nice to see. That's new rail system for the Joy-Cons is definitely more sturdy than the original, and I like that change. I also think the mouse thing for the Joy-Cons is a genius idea, although I have not used it myself. I just think games could use this in creative ways. These improvements are good and all, but it still feels bare minimum. Like they could have added all the things we wanted to have, but they just didn't. Making an argument for the sake of Nintendo, you can say these upgrades are good enough for the types of content they will be releasing, but why should consumers settle for that? On to the bad. I won't be covering every negative thing about the Nintendo Switch 2 because I'm already balding and I don't need to go in depth to shit on them as many videos on YouTube already have. The carts. Come on, why? Essentially, Nintendo is using their power to help kill physical media. They really hate that people share games. The cartridge license thing is so terrible. Essentially, there is no game on the cart and you have to download the game online through the code. This is terrible. What if the servers go down and you haven't downloaded all your games? You're basically fucked. What is the point of this other than controlling the consumer? If you purchase a physical game for about $80, it should be on the cartridge so you can pop it in well after the servers die. Or what if you're somewhere without internet access? So much for portability. The games are now $80. Many have defended this, but I don't agree. I remember buying games for the NS1 and $60 seemed like a lot of money to me for one game. I think $80 for the quality and amount of content they are delivering just doesn't line up. They also pretty much never do deals on their games, and if they do, it's like $5 to $10. I've also heard Nintendo has been banning Switch 2s seemingly for any reason they seem fit or deem fit. That is not ownership of hardware you paid $500 for. I won't be buying a Nintendo Switch 2 because I don't like the direction the company is going, and it is way too expensive for what it is. I may get one in the future if there is a way to get it discounted or used, or maybe a Switch 2 Lite that's like really cheap, but other than that, there are far too many negatives for me to justify spending this much on a console and $80 per game.